Okay, well, I've lost about 8 minutes of footage. Just drop that anywhere. Lost about 8 minutes of footage due to my phone shutting down to the fact that it's overheating as the battery runs out and attempts to recharge. So this is where we're currently up to with this. And I was just doing a rant about how the truly interesting questions that you ask are not the ones that people get scared of asking. And that how, fundamentally, the questions that people think are important aren't important questions. Like, will you go out with me? Will you not go out with me? Will you marry me? They're not really important questions. More important questions are things like, why don't you love me anymore? And they are far more difficult and far uglier to resolve. And there ain't no good resolution to the answers to those questions. You are never going to get an answer that makes you feel happy about why don't you love me anymore. And unfortunately, I am of the opinion that it's one of the most important questions you can ask somebody. Because if you ask it, and the person you ask it of answers you properly, you will get an answer that will change who you are. That will change the universe that you're a part of. It is an earth-shattering question that has deep resonances for the rest of your life. And fundamentally, if maniacs like Socrates are to believed and shit like unexamined lives, etc., and the validity and worthwhileness of living a life that is examined versus that of living a life that is unexamined. Socrates, for people who don't realize it, said that the unexamined life was not worth living, which, yeah, okay, Socrates, but you're also a philosopher. Or as to quote Bay Arthur in the History of the Universe by Mel Brooks, you're a bullshitter. Did you bullshit last week? No. Did you bullshit this week? No. Did you try to bullshit? Yes. Which is funny for many reasons if you're a student of philosophy, and possibly if you're not a student of philosophy. I don't know. I can't remember not being a student of philosophy. But anyway, I kind of feel those questions, deep, dark, ugly questions, as my philosophy, one of my philosophy doctors would have said, are unfortunately where we live. We exist in a universe that is filled with deep, dark uglinesses. And philosophy is an attempt to make sense of the horrors that the horrors of the world in which we find ourselves in. And to truly change the world, philosophy has to ask and answer deep, ugly, profound questions. Ethics is particularly horrible, as much as that people would like to pretend that the study of ethics is simple. It's not. It is to ask ugly questions of your motivation and the motivation of others. If you honestly study things like ethics deeply, you will hurt yourself in profound ways. You will lose a lot of trust for yourself and others when you start learning about the application of value systems and people's judgments. Like having studied ethics, people tend to go in one of two ways. Either they become objectively cynical and say that everyone is motivated by greed and fear and hate, or they move the other way and say that everybody is doing the absolute best they can, but they are in a world that is motivated by greed, fear and hate. And that's not really fluffy bunny talk. That's not cute little books by transphobes about turning shit into gold. It's a fistful of deep, dark and ugly questions with deep, dark and ugly answers. And fortunately, the cute, fun little answers like, will you have sex with me? Will you go out with me? Do you like me? Those fun little nonsense questions very quickly don't matter in the grand scheme of things. They won't change the world or anything. Don't get me wrong, it's important to be happy. I'm not saying don't go out there and not have sex and, you know, be depressed and hate the universe. Like, there's enough hatred out there. You don't need to add to it. But don't pretend it's anything other than, you know, dancing at dawn to cheap music, which is a very important thing to do. I encourage as many people as possible to dance until dawn to the cheapest music they can find. Live your one precious life. If you want to marry someone so you can continue to date them and hang out and have fun, do it, and fuck the universe. If you want to buy a boat and sail the fucking Pacific and disconnect from the rest of the world, like, do it. If you want to be some sort of desperately sad and lonely broken individual that wants to make fucking millions and squillions of dollars through Bitcoin, I hate you and you deserve to die in ways that would be described as deeply pornographic by a veteran coroner. But, you know, go out there and seek your happiness, you sick little parasite that is everything wrong with humanity. Don't let the opinions of a no-name YouTube account tell you that you don't get to deserve to extract the most amount of happiness through the destruction of the world as you possibly can. However, I kind of think that NFTs and crypto bullshit don't actually make people happy. Don't think that is their function. I don't think the people that make them want to be happy. They are obsessed with the gamification of the world. They want to reduce the entire world to something that will give them a high or low score. Alright, cool, I get it. I played lots of video games too. You have no idea how much I would love it to be that if I could just click on the right romance options, people would love me. It's not how shit works. It's 100% not how shit works. And it's how shit has not worked for longer than I've been alive. But, you know, more power to you, etc. I hope whatever you do brings you happiness. Unless you're into NFTs, in which case I hope it brings you nothing but sadness and depression. Okie dokie guys, last bag. Now I'm actually going to attempt to stitch these two videos together. So if I've succeeded in doing that, you will be confused as to the references to two videos. However, one was recorded on my phone and this one is being recorded on my PC. And I am not particularly good at... Well, no, editing is a skill. It is that simple, and it's not a skill I have. I think that's perfectly okay. I don't have every skill known to man. I don't have time to learn every single skill known to man. Neither do you. So, with that in mind, I'll do my absolute best to stitch these together into some sort of coherent narrative, with the understanding that there may not actually be a coherent narrative at the end of this, and that is just the nature of the universe. I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. I don't want to monetize these videos. I don't want these videos to go viral and suddenly be part of some sort of monetization and commoditization of fun times. The reason I make these is because literally 2 people out of 2,000 people who follow me on Twitter said my longer ranty video, the videos I did that were 40 minutes long, that I made while building my bonsai, the Lego bonsai, which you can probably not see, I'll move that out of the way, the Lego bonsai, that they actually use those to help them fall asleep, that my tone and timbre of voice help them get sleep. And if that's the case, and you find these videos help you get to sleep, then that's why I'm making them. I'm literally making these videos for you, for 2 people. And that is kind of how I think it should be. That is the nature of creativity. You don't do it for fame, fortune, or success. You do it because, well, there's a little part of me that finds this soothing, as much as I know that this doesn't, me complaining and yelling at Lego doesn't seem very soothing to outsiders. This to me is low threat complaining. I can complain about this Lego and it doesn't matter. I can sit here and vent any frustration that I have at this Lego, and it quietly takes it. The Lego company is not going to be hurt or upset by my meanness towards them. They're not going to lose any sleep over it. Hell, they're not even going to notice. So I get to make these videos and complain. And then we stick what? This one? That doesn't feel like it should go there. That's what she said. Alright, cool. Now we're going to make 9 of these. Good thing that I have extremely dexterous fingers that I haven't recently stabbed, or I would find this difficult. Anyway, these look like forget-me-nots, or... I don't know. This could be baby's breath. I suppose I should look at the front, or look at the box or something, and it'll be like, yeah, this is what... I don't know. It doesn't matter. Fundamentally, like... We could argue about the vermicelitude of Lego and whether or not that it's an accurate portrayal of certain plants or whatever, but it kind of doesn't matter. I'm going to try putting these together in a way that is different to the instructions, because I think I'm going to find it easier. And yeah, okay. So my way of doing it is much easier than Lego's way of doing things. Lego, if you need me to write your instructions, I'm currently looking at a career change. I require a phenomenally large paycheck and I don't want to do much work. I also don't speak Dutch and I have no inclination to move to Europe in any way, shape or form, so yeah, Lego boys, hit me up. I'm sure we can work something out that is beneficial for me, and I don't really care about the Lego company fortunes or failings in any way, shape or form. Yeah, I'll have them knocking down the door, won't it, kids? Well, come screaming with an offer like that, mate. It's not every day a large corporation is told that you're willing to work for them, but not too hard. You don't particularly give a shit about them or their product or their long-term survival. They'd be a fool to turn down an offer like that. And they're not fools. So I expect I'll have a DM before the morning after this video gets its traditional 9 views. And also with this series of making Lego and knockoff Lego things, I am only going to do about 12 of these videos. While this stuff is made from plastic that is recyclable, there is a bit of me that it feeds into a commercialization of hobbies which, I don't really agree with. So yeah, it's not going to be an infinite series. It also kind of is diametrically opposed to what I want to do with this channel anyway, which is more cooking stuff. It's just that I don't want to have like 20 goddamn YouTube. Like I get emails and notifications when this stuff is watched and when people like it, and when they do thumbs up and thumbs down and all that kind of crap. I don't want that for 2 channels or 4 channels. Like, I get it. There's people out there for whom YouTube is their job, their career, etc. But this ain't me. I am at the moment a chef who wishes to be something other than a chef. And that's kind of due to physical disability at the moment. Like, my knees are trashed. I need to exercise to lose weight. Unfortunately, to do that, I need a job in which I'm not on my feet 10 hours a day. I need to transition to a different job. I don't really know how. I don't really know what skills I've got to sell. If it's going to get me off my goddamn feet for 10 hours a day. I love my job. I haven't actually hit my personal pinnacle. I know I could do more and go further. But the last pandemic and and everything, my divorce, the racism I faced, it all just wears you down. And while I was fairly stoic and able to just bear through it when it was like, well, everyone's got it this hard. It's like, I got diagnosed as autistic and ADHD. And it's like, actually, no, not everyone has it this hard. Like, this is not... My struggles and uphill fight, it's not a universal experience. Like... Like when I came to the realization that I'm non-binary, like, normal people don't sit there and shy away from their gender expression. They don't celebrate and wholesale embrace the deliberate breakdown of gender norms for the sake of breaking gender norms, because they feel far more comfortable in the chaos that exists when you start breaking down gender norms than playing along with the game. Like, that's not normal. And it requires you to go to people who are dedicated professionals in the field of studying not normal to point out that, hey, yeah, no, that's not normal behaviour. Normal people aren't out here doing that, mate. That's you. That's you. That's just you. And so, if life doesn't have to be such a meaningful fuck-up struggle, why would I want to make it? Like, why would I want to keep going in a career field that is, for normal people, a miserable, fucked up nightmare? Why add to my woes? I mean, for a long time, this is where I lived. This was my home. I was the beast that existed in the fire and the fury. Now I'm just old, and I don't really want to exist in the fire and the fury anymore. Hang on, so how are they connected to... okay, no? Okay, yep, they were disconnected now. Okay, cool, never mind. I'm just like, all good. Figured out what's going on. Yeah, it just... Like, I have to have tests to make sure I'm not going to die of a heart attack in the next 5 years. And they were supposed to be today, but my knee was in too much pain for me to sleep properly last night, so I could get up on time to go and do the testing to see if I'm going to die in 5 years. So, like, the question starts being like, well, do I have to keep doing this job? Can I do something else? Because maybe I'd like to do something else with my life that doesn't involve me having to die. Maybe I don't want my life to be sacrificed on the altar of capitalism. Maybe I'd like to have kids. Maybe I'd like to have a normal relationship. Maybe I'd like to figure out things. You know, maybe... Okay, what's the way that I can make this look the prettiest? You know what? Nope, that will not go in there. Okay, so one has to be 3 high. This type of behavior is what my therapist would call classic avoidance. Deliberately choosing to avoid confronting things that you find distressing because they're distressing. And so you talk about it until you get upset and then you stop talking about it. I know, right? Fucking pay you money for you to talk to me like this? How dare you, madam? How dare you? Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why I pay her money. So we flip over. Don't really like how this is looking at the moment. I'm not sure I'm going to change it. I didn't really like the asymmetrical. Do a 3, a 2 and a 1. So I may have to do something with this. But not now, not on camera. Let's put that in there. Okie dokie, now building onto the leaves because we now have to construct leaves. I know, right? You thought the excitement was never going to end, kids, and you're right. It is never ever going to end. You have to stay here forever. This feels overly complex for leaves, you know? Like, if these leaves don't look absolutely mind-blowingly fantastic. Put the surfboard on there. Okay, this feels overly complicated for a leaf, you know? So now we do that 3 times. Awesome. I've got to say, having a tactile band-aid on my finger does make this feel dramatically less easy. You know, just for those playing along with our copy of our home game, if you really want to up the difficulty, get yourself one of these tacky band-aids to put on it. It'll really level up your game and make it really frustrating to do this. And I realise that we're all doing this to maximise frustration and engagement. I mean, what else is there? I don't really understand why we want to put these dark blue bits down the middle. So the dark green bits down the middle, like as an attempt to make it look... I don't know. I mean, I guess it's meant to try and look like the underside of the leaf, but I feel like this is one of those over-engineered things. Like there's no... It doesn't feel like a good reason to have engineered it quite this way, beyond this is the way that we engineered it, so ergo, this is the way it ended up being. Probably going to have a bunch of florists come in and kick in the door and start telling me the 97 ways that I'm wrong about how fantastic these things are. But it's just greenery. Not to say I love flowers, for the record. I love buying flowers from florists, etc. I think it's one of the few pure joys left in this world is buying flowers. For yourself and for others. I mean, at the end of the day, if there's no one in your life, buy yourself flowers. Screw it. Especially if you're a dude, just buy yourself some goddamn flowers. Have something nice in your life. Not because it will make you a better person or because it will impress somebody that you want to sleep with or whatever, but just to make your life, your living space, a little bit nicer. Controversial opinion, men deserve nice things. Yeah, sometimes we all deserve nice things. If you're not going to give yourself nice things, who is? Like, if you're not going to buy yourself flowers, if you're not going to have half a dozen roses or whatever sitting in your front yard just for the sole reason of making you happy, then what do you got going on? And I'm not saying you have to grow the flowers yourself or anything like that, but like just grab yourself some bloody flowers from Coles or even just the supermarket. Like I know at least one florist that's going to be up in arms because I mentioned buying flowers from freaking a supermarket or whatever. But just do it. Like it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how you get the flowers in your life, just get them in there. I'm sure eventually you will fall in love with flowers and want to have good ones from the florist, but in the meantime, just get some nasty ones from the supermarket or whatever, just to add some colour and life to your house. You deserve it, probably. Don't know you personally, but I'm willing to bet that as a human being that is alive on this planet, you probably deserve nice things. So why not get nice things, Why not just have flowers for yourself to impress no one else but yourself? Just have them. You can do that. You don't need a reason. And then, shock horror, you might actually attract someone in your life because you are putting beautiful things in your life for no other reason than to have beautiful things in your life. And that it's not even positive energy. That kind of self-care is sexy. People see that. People see that you're buying flowers for yourself and go, well, you know what? He's not a screaming maniac. He cares about himself. You know, he cares about himself enough to make sure he's got a pleasant world in which to live. You know what? Maybe he'll care enough about me to make sure the world in which I live with him is pleasant. Like, and this is what I talk about. This is what I mean when I say that ethics will make you needlessly cynical. Because what I'm describing here is utilitarianism thinking. Where you sit there and go, well, if they do it for them, they'll do it for me. It really is cynical utilitarianism. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to do something. Just don't get weird about shit. You know, don't sit there and brag to a girl about how you buy yourself flowers for no other reason than to give yourself flowers. Just do it. You know? Just buy yourself flowers. Okay, now we're building 6 of these fucking things. I have no idea what flower we're building at the moment. It feels like some kind of carnation. However, my knowledge of things beyond roses and snapdragons is best described as limited. And some would say indescribably naive. The California poppy thing, that's just because I happen to have been to California once. And during a fight with my former in-laws, I walked through the botanical gardens at San Diego, and I remember how upset I was about everything. And I walked past there was some California poppies. Orange fuckers, like stupidly orange fuckers, just like this, that were just, you look at them and go, it's fucking fake. God, you can't even have like, God damn it, America, you can't even do like realistic flowers. Everything has to look super fake. That was just, yeah. That was a dark day. For me, I don't actually think they noticed, but I felt I was not a part of that family, and I was never going to be. And everything that happened after that merely solidified what I knew to be true. Much like the dark realization I had recently, and this is kind of fucking some ugly shit to have to carry around inside your head, so I'm just going to apologise in advance to anyone that ends up carrying this ugliness around. But if my ex-in-laws hadn't hated my guts, I would be dead. If they had been more patient with their desire to get me out of their fucking life, to let Rachel come to the conclusion herself that I was a piece of shit, I'd be dead. Because if I'd stayed in America as a chef, I would have died from COVID. That's a fucking certainty. So I am alive because the people that hated me and wanted me dead, or wanted me out of their life, weren't patient. If they had been a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more patient, a little bit more worldly in the way they hated people, if they'd been able to suck up their visceral disgust of me, I would be dead. And the hilarious thing is, the $1.5 million worth of life insurance I carry, superannuation, a couple of pension plans, etc. would have all gone to the daughter. She would be financially far better off if her family had been slightly sophisticated or patient. They would still have me out of their life. I would be dead. Their daughter would be financially set. And yeah, there we go, guys. That is everything. Okay, cool. I'm going to attempt to stitch these videos together into something vaguely coherent. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me complain and bitch and ramble on. And I'll catch you on the flip side.